If you enjoy surfing the web and are organized and creative, web designer might be the career for you. You'll use computer software to design and create websites that satisfy client needs. We spoke with a web designer to find out more.
Hi, my name is Jeff. I'm a web designer. A web designer is someone who creates websites for a variety of clients. And the general path is starting with content strategy and site maps and things like that, moving into the static design and how it would look to the users who are going to be viewing the website, and then development of the code and launch. A typical day for me entails waking up usually around 7:30 or 8, make a pot of coffee, sit down on my computer, and my day usually starts with responding to emails from clients. We do a bit of social media work, promote some of our blog articles because that brings in traffic. One of the benefits of running your own web design company out of our home like we do is that you don't really have a set deadline. It sort of depends on how and when you like to work. But you need to stay motivated, and you need to make sure you're putting in solid hours during the day. Depending on the projects we have going that day, we might jump into creating a wireframe, which essentially is a really basic layout of how the information architecture is going to look on the site. Or we might get into the actual design work using Photoshop or Illustrator. We kind of jump in between them. And then we take it from Photoshop after it's been revised and signed off on. And then we take it into the code development. So there's a variety of tools we might use for that. Then we'll contact the client and go through the site and test it to make sure everything's functioning the way it should. If we don't have a lot of projects to work on that day, then we're scheduling client meetings, and we usually go to coffee shops and things like that. It starts essentially with figuring out what the strategy for the client is, who their clients are, and what they want their website to accomplish. We set goals and objectives, and that's kind of what we work off of. One of the biggest, I think, personality traits that needs to be nurtured is the ability to communicate effectively. Because a lot of time you'll get clients who come to you and say, I want a website, and they don't really know why. It's maybe someone just told them they need to be online. You'll get a lot of client feedback like, make it pop. And you have to be able to translate that essentially into a visual. So it's your job as a web designer, not just to make things look nice, but to help with the strategy and figuring out goals and things like that. Working as an instructional designer, that actually got me interested in the field of web design. So I quit my job, went back to school, and got a diploma in design and motion graphics. From there, I just learned on my own afterwards through various online tutorials and things like that. My wife and I work together, both as web designers in our small business. And it's really beneficial to have another person there with you to bounce ideas off. When you're working on something for 8 hours a day, I think your perspective on its quality or its usefulness can kind of become skewed. And as well, you can sort of combine your skill sets to be stronger. My wife is a high-functioning quadriplegic, which means that she can use her arms. She doesn't have use of her hands, but we have modified that so she can type with pencils attached to straps and things like that. So as someone with a disability, it's a good career choice for her. She can kind of express herself creatively, as well as put her professional mind to use. And whatever physical limitations she has doesn't come into play at all. Some of the tools I use as a web designer, starting off, obviously you need a decent computer. There's also general knowledge requirements you need to have. For example, what sort of web browser restrictions there are, making things work across the board from Internet Explorer to more modern browsers like Chrome and Firefox. There's quite a bit of learning on the job as a web designer. You need to be able to stay on top of the field because the web is an ever-changing medium. It's not like print. So you need to know the new trends and best practices. Luckily, for virtually every solution you need, someone out there has probably already made it. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Plus, staying on top of all the changing technologies. For example, now we have all these various screens and resolutions that our websites need to look good in. Some of the most satisfying aspects of being a web designer would be working with clients and being able to kind of bring their visions to life. It's never really the same from day to day or from project to project. So I'm really happy as a web designer. It allows me to put my strategic problem solving skills to use and combine those with the creative side. So it's a really nice balance of those two areas that makes life always interesting and never boring, and I wouldn't change it for anything in the world.
Web designers need a combination of related experience and knowledge and may come from a wide variety of backgrounds. Some employers require applicants to have at least 2 years of related post-secondary education. Discover more about this occupation, such as educational requirements and salary ranges, in the occupational profile on the ALIS website, and learn about related occupations like graphic designer or interactive media programmer. Make the most of your future. Go to alice.alberta.ca.